Hi everybody. This week we're going to be talking about the skincare brand Krave Beauty. We're going to go through some history of their founding, their product line, some recent drama that has popped up, and my thoughts on the brand in general. So if that sounds interesting to you, let's dive in. So I've been wanting to make this video for a long time. Not to bore you with the details of my life, but throughout COVID, I've been working 2 jobs and I just don't have a whole lot of creative energy left to create a lot of YouTube content. If you've noticed, my videos have been a bit more sporadic for the last few months. But today is the day. We're going to talk about Krave. So Krave Beauty was founded by YouTuber Leah Yu. Her YouTube channel focused on skincare and was started way back in 2011 and kind of tracks her skincare journey from someone who struggled with acne issues, trying various products and finding success with a minimalized skincare routine. Her YouTube videos are a little unique in the sense that she is from South Korea and most of her YouTube videos are in English with Korean subtitles. So she actually found a larger following in English-speaking countries like the United States than she did in her native country of South Korea. So the brand Krave Beauty, when it launched, had a warehouse in the United States for orders within America and a warehouse in South Korea for orders in South Korea. And those are the only 2 countries, unfortunately, which you can get Krave Beauty products shipped from the actual Krave Beauty website. Let's focus a little bit on Leah Yu, the founder of the brand. She is a self-proclaimed acne survivor. She struggled with acne most of her adolescent life, and she was trying product after product, and she was wondering, how come none of this is working? Why is my skin actually getting worse, even though I'm using multiple products that are supposed to target my issues? At one point, she was using over a dozen products in a single routine. When she started to cut back and actually use less and less products, she found an improvement in her skin. And so her skincare approach has become one of minimalism. The fewer products that you use, the better the results. So Leah started to advocate listening to your skin and only giving your skin what it's craving, which is how we get to the name Krave Beauty. Her background, besides having YouTube videos, she worked at Korea's largest skincare company, Amore Pacific, for 2 years. And when she launched Krave Beauty in the year 2017, she started with only 2 products, a cleanser and an exfoliator. So let's talk about the cleanser. The Matcha Hemp Hydrating Cleanser does exactly that. It's very hydrating, it's very gentle, and in my experience, it does a wonderful job of cleansing the skin without stripping it. And I just have become a really big fan. I've used it regularly, and this is my 2nd bottle. As for the ingredients inside, we see green tea water. So as opposed to just regular water is the first ingredient, green tea water. Glycerin, which is a humectant, which helps the skin to retain and draw in moisture. Cocoa betaine, which is a very gentle surfactant. That's what's actually cleansing the skin and getting rid of the dirt. There's bark extract, sweet almond oil, hemp seed oil, oat kernel extract, which is very soothing to the skin. It has a unique gel texture. I'll just put a little bit here. And that gel texture, as it's rubbed into the skin, does lather slightly. Not too much. Other cleansers that I've used, it seems like the lather just keeps coming and coming, and you're like, this isn't like that at all. The lather is super easy to rinse away, and it leaves your skin, as I said, feeling hydrated and cleansed. Let's talk about the exfoliator. The often mispronounced exfoliator is Kale-lalu-yAHA, which is clever because it has kale and also AHAs, alpha hydroxy acids, and it's trying to sound like hallelujah, but with kale. Kale-lalu-yAHA. I like to apply this on a cotton pad. The first ingredient is aloe leaf water, which, just like in the cleanser, instead of using plain old water, it's water that also has these plant benefits. So aloe leaf water, kale extract, as I mentioned, and that's featured in the name Kale-lalu-yAHA. It has 5.25% glycolic acid, which is gentle enough to use fairly regularly. I've used it up to 3 times a week, kind of every other day, and my skin reacts to it just fine. There's also glycerin, green apple extract, sodium hyaluronate, which is hyaluronic acid, and allantoin, which is a nice soothing ingredient for your skin. So there's a nice balance of not just the glycolic, which is the exfoliator, soothing ingredients to balance out your experience so you don't feel any irritation afterwards from exfoliating. These two were the first products when Krave Beauty launched in 2017, and later it would add the Serum Great Barrier Relief, which is one of my all-time favorite products. It's such a wonderful, wonderful product. It can be used as a serum before applying moisturizer, or it can be used as just a lightweight moisturizer. I'll just apply a little to my neck area. I shaved this morning, and I was experiencing a bit of irritation after shaving, and I used a little bit of this as like an aftershave, and it works so well at just soothing and getting rid of that irritation and that inflammation that sometimes happens after shaving. There's 10% tamanu oil, which this is probably the only product I can think of off the top of my head that uses tamanu oil. That gives it that interesting but pleasant smell. It's very tropical is the word that comes to mind when I smell it, like, oh, I'm on vacation somewhere with palm trees. There's also niacinamide, which is a terrific ingredient that does a variety of things. Among other things, it evens out your skin tone. It helps with oiliness by limiting sebum production, and overall just brightens your complexion. There's also safflower seed oil, glycerin, and sodium hyaluronate again. Squalane, which is a nice oil which is already in your skin. There's ceramides to help your skin barrier. There's also urea, which is a calming ingredient, and oat kernel again. I would venture to say this is probably the most popular product in the entire line. Their most recent product launch is the moisturizer, the Oat So Simple Water Cream. This one comes with a little press reset scooper, which I've never actually used to scoop. Just use my fingers. They call it a water cream, and I think that's really appropriate because it is definitely lightweight, like a water gel, but when you apply it on the skin, it does feel creamy. Just put a little on my forehead here. It doesn't feel like the water gels that other brands, or hydrogels, sometimes they're called. It doesn't have that feeling at all. It actually feels quite soft and less watery, if that makes sense. It has that oat extract again, which is wonderfully soothing. We also see butylene glycol, caprylic triglyceride, squalane again. There's also fatty alcohols, which are very helpful for the skin barrier, and ethylhexyl glycerin, which helps with the skin moisture. And that's it. It has a very short ingredient list. That's why it's Oat So Simple. The ingredient list doesn't go on and on and on. It's only a handful of ingredients. It's light enough to use in the morning under sunscreen. I haven't personally used this a lot for an evening moisturizer just because I like something just a little bit thicker, a little more occlusive if it's going to be overnight. But it does what it's supposed to. It says for anyone who wants to simply moisturize. And that's what it's for. It's just a nice, simple moisturizer. Okay, introducing a little bit of drama. If you're not familiar with some of the Korean skincare drama, I'll have links in the description box below that can catch you up to speed. But essentially, and Dr. Dre just did a video about this, there was a concern that the Purito Centella sunscreen only had two filters in it, one for UVA and one for UVB. And the concern was that there's no way that it could be an SPF 50 if it only had two filters. Anyway, so Inky Decoder sent it off to an independent lab to kind of do some testing on it. And Dr. Dre in that video that I'll have linked below does a much thorough explanation of how third-party lab studies can have variability and variations just inherent in the process. But anyway, it came back that Purito sunscreen was much less than a 50 SPF. It was actually SPF 19. And then Dear Claire's, which was made by the same lab in South Korea, was pulled from the market. And initially, Krave Beauty said that you don't have to worry about their sunscreen and you could still purchase it for a period of time. Then they pulled it from their website and they said that they were reformulating. And for those of us that were following the drama of these other two sunscreens that had been pulled from the market, it was a bit suspicious, I guess, that this would be pulled from the market and without any other explanation other than, oh, we need to reformulate. And there was even talk about just finding better packaging until fairly recently lea.YOU made a Instagram post, and in it, yes, indeed, the Beet Shield, or sometimes Beat the Sun, as it's sold in Korea, has a less than 50 SPF, and as a result, will not be returning to the Krave Beauty lineup. She did say toward the end of that video that she is personally going to continue using it and advising, friends and family within her circle to continue using it. She didn't specifically state the SPF rating that they had come up with in their independent testing. She just said that it was less than 50 SPF. And that was definitely difficult news because this was my favorite SPF. I really enjoyed the formula. It's very lightweight. And I continue to use this just as an everyday sunscreen if I'm not going to be spending a whole bunch of time outside. I'll use this. It's moisturizing and has antioxidants. So you can't get your hands on this, unfortunately, anymore. And then even further drama regarding lea.YOU herself. Somebody gave her a direct message on Instagram saying, you belong to a church which is anti-LGBT. And she said essentially, I do? What? I wasn't aware of that. More and more people have already delved into that. They've looked at specifically this church's statement of beliefs, and in fact, they do have an anti-LGBT stance. And when this was further brought to her attention, she made another Instagram video essentially saying that she no longer belongs to that church, that she has done the appropriate amount of investigation looking into their statement of faith, and has disassociated herself. She went on to say that as her individual belief, her support of LGBT has never wavered, but that fact, when it came to light, was hard for a lot of people, myself included, to come to terms with, because her inclusivity in the brand model was obvious. She wanted the brand to appear to be a brand that supports LGBT. So on the surface, the brand had an inclusivity about it that seemed to include and support LGBT. And then when it was brought up that behind the scenes she belongs to a church that is the opposite of that, it was hard for a lot of people to accept. And, maybe rightly so, who's to say? I will say from my own personal experience as a member of the LGBT community, I have been associated with churches like that in the past, and I have to say that those churches, it's sort of an unwritten understanding that if you belong to the church, you also are a part of the "we don't want gay marriage" camp. It's very apparent, and it's a little hard to believe, I guess, that Lea would walk into a church and not get that vibe, because it's fairly obvious. I mean, I can't say to the specific church that she attended, but just in general, I've been inside my fair share of churches, and you don't have to stay long inside of a building with a pastor talking before you realize, oh, that's their stance. So anyway, for whatever it's worth, she apologized. For me, I think that's enough. She said publicly that she supports LGBT and she has disassociated herself with these organizations that don't fit along with that. But everybody has to make their own conclusion regarding that. And that's the drama, the recent drama surrounding Krave Beauty. And just from a product's perspective, they make great products. So you have to decide what you're willing to support with your hard-earned money and what you're not. As for me, I'm going to continue to buy from Krave Beauty, but that's just my perspective. All right, that got a little bit heavy, but I hope this video was helpful. And don't forget to subscribe to my Instagram at 43-year-old Skinfluencer. And I'll see you next time.